recovery house is opening in Ely that will help support people struggling with addiction. The substance-free house, called Northern Lights House, is the first recovery residence provided by Wellbeing Development. The nonprofit helps people with mental illness and those struggling with addiction transition into independent living. The recovery house can help up to 4 people at a time and includes resources and programs so those in recovery have a higher probability of long-term recovery. The goal is to break the relapse cycle that often happens with folks that struggle with addiction. Program leaders say this house was community-inspired and will need community support to keep it going.
In a town our size, these are also community members. So folks that run agencies are the same people that are the families and neighbors and friends of the folks that live in this area.
The ribbon cutting and open house will take place tomorrow from 4:30 to 7. The community is invited to tour the house. A program and a light dinner will be served. For details on how you can donate money or items to support the house, head to our website at northernnewsnow.com. Still to come, we catch up with